Good morning, fans of the new network. It is time for our new show, Sarah's Playlist. We have a great first guest, Christian Lawrence, aka Opus The Dopest. He is known, of course, for his band Dead by Wednesday, Mindsnap music, and being an author. Opus, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you, James. How you doing today? Everything good?
Doing great. Shoot. Other than it's a little cold out there, but that's this time of year, so it's going to happen. But yeah, things are going wonderful. Been loving working with the new network and getting
That's
things
awesome.
started. Yeah, and we're
It
excited.
looks like it literally looks like I'm in your house.
It does. I was going to say that's the great thing about technology nowadays that they can change everything. So tell us about that big Blizzard birthday bash that you do.
Oh yeah, it was absolutely insane. So we just played last was it last Saturday, the 13th of January. We ended up basically doing my annual hometown Blizzard Opus's Blizzard B-Day bash that we do every year, and this year was record-breaking numbers. We haven't had this many people since the early days of my old band Gargantua Soul,
Mhm.
when we were in the height of our popular stage there with the music industry in the '90s with G Soul. There was over 700 people through the door, and capacity is 750, so it was pretty intense. I mean, that's also with freebies and VIP and bands and everything, but still it was those numbers. It goes to show that it's not even about me anymore. It's more of just this title of the show, and it built itself up to its own type of entity where it's like a festival where people really want to be on it, and they all year long they hound me like, hey man, we want to play your show, and I try to rotate the bands and get as many as I can, many nationals as I can, and bigger bands, and then I also try to hook up a lot of the locals and a lot of the independent bands that are like that I see that are serious and that are working hard. And it's definitely always a struggle because there's only so many slots. There's always got to be a first band. There's always got to be a last band.
Mhm.
But it's really become this own thing. And in fact, the funny thing is I tried changing the name because the whole birthday thing.
Mhm.
I started that in '91 or something, and now everyone has birthday bashes and all that stuff, and it helps because it gets all. It's not just about. And the initial idea was it's not just about the music; it's about family and friends coming out and supporting you. And that's how it started off. Now I barely know anybody not that I don't know anybody. I know a lot of people that go, but I'm saying like it's a lot of just music fans, and it actually shows the to me it shows how strong and how awesome our music and metal scene is in Connecticut and in New England, because people always say, ah man, music's dying, music sucks around here, blah 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 blah. Well, let me tell you, you're wrong, because it is not only strong, but it is growing, and it's becoming more underground and is very, 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 very uh, cohesive. Everyone's supporting each other, and it's really really awesome. I got to tell you, because I've never seen so many people come out and support other bands and come early and stay late, and just not just leave, and it's really awesome. And that's because we've been building this thing. I've been building this thing up for so many years, and I have so many people that support it and help me, and I have so many awesome people that behind me that I can't do this stuff without. Like, there's my partner Gary Sandler in Mindsnap, and Larry Torig from Von Artist, Scott Harrington from Salt of the Earth Records. He was also the stage manager that day. Brian Reed and Justin from Devil's Hop Yard. They also were a big part of the show, helping with the upstairs stage and stage managing, providing the back line. Then we have Hollis and Brian and everyone at Toads. They've been, big supporters behind me. In fact, I'm in their book, and that night they came and they filmed. They had a film crew there to film for the Toads documentary, which is going to be included. I'm also going to be included in that as well. So
Oh,
I
nice.
live in the walls at Toads when I'm gone. I'm a part of the legacy there, which is really cool. And a place like Toads gives a lot of, they give a lot of independent bands and a lot of bands that are smaller an opportunity, because there's not a lot of clubs that are medium sized. There's like really small, and then there's really really big, and nothing in between. And it's hard to find clubs like that where, like, it's just a perfect amount of people. It's still intimate, but it's still big enough where it's on a grand scale. So a lot of people like that to thank, and obviously all my band members and all the people that all the other bands that played, and they hustled, and they brought, also brought a lot of people. I mean, a lot of people just they think that they can just show up and play and not do anything. Well, with me, it's very different. Like, I don't take things lightly. I've always really 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 taken everything to heart. And when I promote stuff, I don't just put a flyer up on the internet, on social media, on Facebook or something, and say that's enough. That's not enough. Back in the day when there wasn't social media, we would have to go out, and I still do this, and flyer. I would go from all the way from Old Saybrook through New Haven, Route 1, and hit every single, head shop, liquor store, music store, coffee shop, and just flyer, old school. And even if it doesn't help on a big level, it's still name recognition, and you still get a percentage of those people that show up. So the way I look at it is that if I put out 30, 40, 50,000 flyers, which is what I do for those shows, if 10% shows up, I'm in good shape. So that's kind of what I do. And then I do the mailing list. I do like I'll send out like a digital mailing list. I used to do a hard copy. And then we do, like, I have a lot of friends that, like, I have to thank Ryan Roberts at Radio 104. They're always helping me promote, and they're always, going out of their way to mention it on the air, which they don't have to do. Rick Allison at WPLR. So these are all people that are all crucial. Chris Arnott at the Hartford Current. He did a write up on it. So all those pieces of the puzzle together is what encompasses a successful show. Not just me saying, "Hey, I'm going to put a show on," and all of a sudden all these people show up. Yes, I have a fan base. Yes, it has a lot of legitimacy throughout the years, but without all those pieces of the puzzle, all those people behind me rooting for me, helping, there would be, none of that. It's including even my down to my techs, like, Talon Black, he's my drum tech, and Gerald Pollock, and Justin, all these guys, they help me even the day of, with physical stuff, and it's very important. So that's basically more about the show. But the show went off without a hitch. There was we started doing things a little earlier now. And it seems like it's really working out. I started this last year, where it ends at 10:30. Most national shows, like if you go see a show at, like, Oakdale or whatever it may be, they usually start a little earlier and they end a little earlier, and like 10:30, 11. Like, no shows really end, no national shows at big venues usually end later than 11. Back in the day, we would go on at midnight, and
Oh, wow.
we would think that's cool. But you end up being the cleanup crew, and half the crowd leaves whether they want to see you or not. So we started doing things a little earlier. I have doors open at 3, first band at 4. It's a Saturday, and I go out at 9, and we're done by 10:30, and home by, sleeping by midnight. And honestly, it works out so much better. So many more people come, and it's really great. It's kind of like back to the old days of, like, the hardcore matinee shows that we used to do and stuff. So it was really good, and I'm really excited about this upcoming year, because it just set off a good vibe for the whole year.
So, in other words, if our listeners are actually, now that we're in this format, viewers are wanting to know more stories like that and wanting to learn more about you, I'm guessing the best way for them to do that is to read Break When I'm Dead.
Yeah, I mean, I actually, that's funny you mentioned that because I had it actually came out in 2023. My book, it's a memoir, more so than just the autobiography. Like autobiographies are very ego-based books. Everyone thinks their life is interesting. Everyone thinks they should write a book. And although uh, although I do have a healthy ego, not over the top, but a healthy one, it's more about the trials and tribulations of the music industry, that almost like a do and don't book that I never had. I was never given one. I had to literally learn through my mistakes and receive a ton of no's and closed doors throughout the years. And you got to just find your perseverance and never stop if this is really what you truly want to do. And I always say music is in your blood or it's not. Some people are built for it and some people are not. Especially, the only fun part about it is writing, recording, and performing live. Everything else, the traveling, the the practice, the breaking down, setting up, um, the missing your family, the not eating right, all that stuff sucks. But it's a part of it. So every job has its perks and every job has its down. Not every job is hunky glory. So, but most of the stuff you could find in that book. And also there is some. I do have a wild family tree and some really wild stories throughout the years that do make it interesting. So it is about me per se, but it's also about the music industry and my journey through it, which might be able to help someone else who is on that journey who kind of wants to do it for real. And so that's really what it's about as well. I had an awesome co-author who helped me ghostwrite it, Doug Esper. Without him, that book wouldn't have been as well received. It was really well written. He captured my voice. It actually got to up to number 14 on the music autobiography Amazon bestseller list. The first 2 weeks it came out, it went from 70 something to 30 something to like 17 all the way to 14, right next to like Bruce Dickinson's book and some other guys. I have a screenshot of that saved, and that was out in 2023. Then we had a little bit of a resurgence because I was chosen by RJ Julia booksellers to do a local author program, and I submitted it and they liked it. So I just did a Q&A and a book reading and a signing at RJ Julia last week after the Wednesday after my birthday bash, and I ended up selling like a bunch of books that day as well. And so it kind of like gave it a little jump start again. So yeah,
Nice.
it's really, you can get it. It's available at any Barnes and Noble. It's available on Amazon, basically anywhere that you can find books. There's a digital version and a hard copy version as well. Or you can get it straight through me and I'll sign it. But you have to just find either inbox me or email me or any of that stuff. And if you want to include that, you can put that in there as well. But um, yeah, so it's the most of this information about my life and who I am, why I. That's one of the reasons why I wrote it, is I wanted to leave a legacy for my boy. So he was really young, and you never know with life, what happens. I want him to know, to be able to read when he's older, why I did what I did and who I am, and what I've done and why. So that's kind of another reason why I did it, just to set the record straight for him as well.
Mhm. So it's a book for your son. It's a book for the people that are starting out in the industry. And for those people starting out in the industry, I thought the part about the importance that you emphasize on networking, I thought that was quite interesting.
Yeah, I mean, without that, there's nothing. I mean, if you stay yourself, how do you expand? It's very key. It's almost not all of it, but so much of the industry is reaching out to people and meeting new people and getting contacts and utilizing the contacts, and then one hand washes the other. You do for them, they should, which is not always the case, which I've learned the hard way many times. They should reciprocate, and true industry professionals and friends actually do that.
Mhm.
But like for example, I'm leaving tomorrow and I'm heading out to the NAM conference, the NAM 2024 conference. It's a music conference in Anaheim, California, where it's all about networking. It's all about mostly about gear, but people go there and they break bread and they hand out cards and they meet people in the industry and they basically network. So that's is very important. Yes.
So that's awesome. Yeah, I was going to say, shoot, the good news and the bad news with the Amazon thing about buying it there is I recently looked on Amazon and there was only one copy left of your book. So,
Really? Oh
yeah,
wow.
so it's doing quite well.
It is doing well, and but you can also go straight to the publisher too. Scout Media. If you go to Scout Media, that's the publisher. Brian, he's a great guy. He's also an author. If you go straight to Scout Media, I'm not sure what the website is, but you could also buy it straight through the publisher as well. So
So it sounds like there's several options.
yeah, there is.
That's always a good thing. So we got that. We got basically how the book has influenced the next generation of artists. Going back to your beginning, though, I understand you started off because of a Kiss song, God of Thunder.
Well, not just a song, but that's what basically that band like with a lot of people that I've worked with. I mean, from people like David Ellison and Frankie Bello from Anthrax. I think our whole generation was influenced by Kiss. I mean, that band was they were like superheroes and superstars in the whole world. And I love superheroes. My favorite is Hulk, Hulk smash, and I loved rock and roll. And when you mix them together, it's like peanut butter and jelly or peanut butter and chocolate. It's undeniable. So I think that's what really started it off. It was Kiss Alive too, and God of Thunder really hit me that bass line. And then I found bands like Black Sabbath, Paranoid and Sweet Leaf, and then I found Sweet Leaf, and then it all made sense. Uh, and so like all those things were influential in building who I am musically today.
So that, and it of course started with that paper route that you had and buying that first set of drums at age 11.
Yep, I was doing my paper route, and I saw this orange sparkly piece of crap drum set on the side of the road in pieces. I wanted to play drums. My parents didn't want me to play drums. They wanted me to either do something a little more practical, like my grandfather would say, be a plumber, be a plumber. In hindsight, it's probably a good idea. Plumbers
Oh
make
yeah,
a lot
you do well.
but I just didn't have it in me. This is what I wanted to do, and I wanted to entertain. I'm an entertainer. I was a little kid outside of my grandparents' house playing pots and pans in my underwear, performing for people driving by. And I've always been in that mind frame. I was a class clown. I always put on the show in front of the class. I would get in trouble because of it, but I always wanted to entertain. I knew I was on that path, but I didn't know exactly why. But I wanted to play drums, so I asked my older brother. I didn't have enough money. I think it was like $35 at the time, which was a lot. And I only had like $20, so I borrowed like 15 from my older brother. And I picked it up down the street. I brought it home. I put it together with duct tape or whatever else it needed, and literally every time my parents would leave the house to go shopping or do an errand or whatever, I would just relentlessly beat the crap out of this drum set and try to learn my coordination. And I felt bad for the neighbors, but in hindsight, now one of my friends, longtime friends, who still supports me every now and then, and I see them once in a while. They were my neighbors, and they still talk about how they heard it all the time, and they heard me getting better and better and better. And it's just a really wild story. But that's just the tip of the iceberg. And then I started playing along to albums like "Shout at the Devil" by Motley Crue, learning because it's interesting, but it's not that hard, and learning my coordination with that. And then from that point, it just kind of flourished and I started playing with other people, and that's really when you start learning timing and start learning what's right and wrong. And at that point, I knew that I was doing a lot of things wrong, so I just took basic lessons for a year to learn the right way of doing things, like how to sit, how to hold the sticks, like simple drum reading, stuff like that, and that really helped me kind of solidify uh, the idea of what I'm doing, and then I incorporated it into more of a creative style that I do, now, because I'm very much not a traditional style drummer where you would hear. I mean, you would see like someone who's been trained for their whole lives. I'm definitely not that. So
Definitely, you have aspects of being self-taught as part of it.
right,
So you've been in some great bands, Violent Industry, uh, Gargantuan Soul, Dead by Wednesday. So in your book, I understand you cover what makes a band work.
right. It's a lot of patience, a lot of dedication, consistency, reliability. The days of the partying are gone. That used to be cool maybe in the 70s and 80s, but now people they pay money, they want to see a sober person playing their instrument and performing properly, not a fall down Jim Morrison drunk. It worked. It worked back then. It doesn't work now. And they also want, uh, you know, a show. They not just guys up there standing there still, playing their instrument, and there's a lot of things that go into a show. It doesn't have to be face paint and fire bombs, but it's got to be visual as well as somewhat as well as musical. And so
Complete
you know,
experience.
yeah, and also it takes a lot of, like I said, you can't get discouraged by a no. I've had more no's than yeses, and if you're not built with it took me a while because I had a little bit of built up resentment for a little bit, and all it does is eat you up. And I learned to let it go, and I've learned that all what you could do is you have to just trudge forward and constantly work and not worry about what's other people are doing or what's trendy and hot at the time. You got to just do you and be true to yourself and be true to your fans, and it'll project in the music and the show if you are 100%.
Now, I understand you've wrote a lot of the music. Obviously, composing music, you don't do it with drums. I understand that you do that with a guitar.
Oh
What's
yeah,
the process like?
I've had a every band I've ever been in had an amazing guitar player. I'm really good at picking. I always say that if I can play the instrument better than the person I'm playing with, then I shouldn't be playing with them. So all my guitar players have been phenomenal, and I learned through watching them. I really have. I watch them, I just study them, and I really am good at visualization, and I have a good ear. So I started picking up the guitar and playing and mimicking what they're doing just so I could be able to write. And I got better and better and better and better. And now I'm not like Yngwie Malmsteen by any means. I could solo a little bit, but I'm really a really good rhythm player and an acoustic player. And that's how I write a lot of this stuff. Now I don't write as much as I used to for Dead by Wednesday because I have an amazing guitar player Dave Sharp, and I also have other guys that I work with. But I still write here and there, that's the beauty of it is that anyone could bring anything to the table and it doesn't get shunned. We don't crush creativity. We might not like it 100%, but we mold it into something that we do like, or we just, as a team, decide it's not a good idea, not a good fit. But we don't do that right away. Like we're being, as also in the book, being a no guy is horrible for a music business. You have to be a yes guy, which is yes and what can I do? When David Ellison from Megadeth, or formerly from Megadeth, called me, I said yes and. I didn't say, oh, I don't know, bro. How much am I getting paid? What are the details? I got to check with my other half first. No,
Yeah,
no. If you say no all too many times, you don't get phone calls anymore.
exactly.
So I said yes, and that's how I got to where I am now. Not just with him, but in general. Um, obviously to a certain extent, you don't just say yes to, take off your pants and bend over, but you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So it was a big year last year. You had Break When I'm Dead, and then you also had Opus Revamped. That's another one that has gotten critically acclaimed. Shoot, people were thrilled by it. Tell us a little bit about that.
I started, uh, when I was in the 80s, um, I was strictly a metalhead, and I actually didn't like new wave. I was like, one of those guys, posers. As I got older, I started really appreciating the new wave movement and a lot of that style, and that I grew up with. And it's kind of like reminiscing. And I had an idea to take a bunch of 80s songs and kind of metalize them. It started off with myself and my girl went to go see Richard Marx, and I was shocked at how good he was still. He was really phenomenal. And he was, the ballad guy in the 80s. Girls loved him with the feathered hair and all that stuff. And so I decided the first thing I wanted to do as a joke was metalize a Richard Marx song that I liked. And it came out so good that I was just like, you know what? Let's just keep going. And I kept, my spare time, kept recording these songs. Finally, I had a conglomeration of these 80s songs gone metal. And I'm like, listen, I'm just going to put it out. And I have my own label. And why not just put it out on my own? So I bought the rights to the songs, and I put it out, and I couldn't be happier. The response, and it was really, really not what I expected. It was really awesome, and people, in Outburn, it gave it a 9 out of 10, and it got a bunch of radio play, and even Richard Marx himself commented on. I sent it to him, and he made a video for me and commented on
That
how
was
cool
really
it
cool.
was.
Yeah, I saw that video. That was really cool.
Yeah. So really, really, it was really a cool thing, and it was a sporadic, spur of the moment idea. I'm not sure about eventually I'll do volume 2, I think, but there's no rush. I set it up that way so I could always do volume 2 because there's so many great new wave songs out there that you could do, and turn into rock metal songs, which is really cool because it gives a new life to the song to a generation that doesn't know that stuff.
Exactly. Like you and Jeffrey Nothing of Mushroom Head did a
Love that
phenomenal
guy.
job with Painted Black.
Yeah, I love that guy. We're still in talks about doing a video for it. And unfortunately, he has some stuff going on at home. Nothing with him, but with his wife. So I wish him and her the best wishes ever that anyone could ever, give. I love that dude, and I want him and his wife to be healthy and happy. So I want to make sure that that's first. Take care of that, and then when you're ready, Jeffrey, let me know. We'll do a nice video. We'll do a nice video for that song. It'll be killer. But yeah, he's a great dude, and it was actually his idea to do that song. He hit me up out of the blue, and was like, "Hey, I see you doing this," and I'm like, "Well, I see myself doing this with you," and so he was like, "Okay," so we did it, and it's really awesome. Guy's got a really unique voice.
Oh gosh, yeah. Opus Revamped, great songs, just a really great experience. Our viewers need to check that out. So, Opus, you've got so much great stuff going on. Unfortunately, we didn't even get the time to go into Mindsnap music. Give us a little bit about that before.
Well, Mindsnap music was basically started as a idea to re-release a lot of the back catalog that I actually ended up getting the rights back to. So a while back, I don't even remember when it was, but a while back, a buddy of mine now he's a buddy of mine, but I didn't know him then. This guy Larry, who I work with now, he's my distribution at Von Artist. He was a Gargantua Soul fan, which was my old band, and he ended up getting into a position where he worked for a distributor, and not just a small distributor, someone who they really have a really great grasp on the industry, and they have like it's almost like Justin Bieber distribution.
Oh,
It's through the Orchard, which is like I think a division of Sony, and basically he said, hey, if you need any help with anything, let me know. I'm happy to help you. So I got the rights back to some of the old Dead by Wednesday albums that were on indie labels that I never saw a dime for. And, the deals were expired and, you couldn't get the albums anywhere. So I'm like, well, I'll just put them out myself under my umbrella, Mindsnap Music. And when I brought that idea to Larry at Von Artist, the distributor, he loved it. He's like, yeah, we'll just, we'll put you under our label and our distribution, and we'll give you a throughway to make it happen. So we put out a couple of back catalog stuff of the early Dead by Wednesday albums, and then from there, some of my friends like that were in other bigger bands wanted help with their solo stuff. So like it became like almost like this like members of type of label where it's like nostalgia bands that put out solo albums needed a place a home. So I just started helping out my friends like Stet Howland from Metal Church. He had a solo project. And then some of the guys from D. Snyder's solo band. My tech talent had Bomber Alley, and he hired some of the guys from D. Snyder's band to be on the album and record. So I ended up putting that out. And then just a plethora of great bands. I mean, my old singer Chris Keys from Gargantua Soul's new band, Engineers Society Project. Joe Town, my old producer. I was giving back to people that gave to me, as well as friends that needed a place to put stuff out. We're working on something called Oceans of Oblivion, which is Steve from Skin Lab's solo band. I put out my stuff, all the Dead by Wednesday stuff. There's a band, Soldiers of Solace, my partner's band, Gary SOS. There's so many great bands that we've done, and most of them have done fairly well. And I have I have a whole team. Shauna O'Donnell is the PR for the Mindsnap Music, and then my distro is Larry at Von Artist, who also uses the Orchard. And then we have my partner Gary helps all the graphics and all the all the legworks that goes into having a indie label. And there's just so much stuff. We use Munzie from Skateboard Marketing for radio, as well as Stephen Nathan for Spotify and some other promo. There's just so much goes into it. We have a relationship with Outburn Magazine. When someone signs on with us, it's not like we don't flip the bill all the time because we're not millionaires, but we help people to use the right people, because there's so many scammers out there. There's so many people that just say, oh yeah, I'll do this for that and this for that, and they don't do shit and they take your money. So we help kind of like bridge that gap and let people that trust us, that we trust, that we like, use our people at Mindsnap, under the Mindsnap umbrella, and really help them develop. Like there's no more labels developing people anymore. It's just like they just take the finished product, they put it out, they throw it against the wall, they throw shit against the wall and hope for the best. And if it blows up, then they look good. If it doesn't, then they move on to the next person, because it's like it's an ADD world, even with music. Because like a lot of people are just doing singles, which is fine, but I just think that's pretty much what we do. And we help with videos. We have people that help with videos. Like even my girl Jessica, she does a lot of video work. Then we also have Gary my partner also does video work. We have other people that we use as well. So it's a whole team of people that help make Mindsnap Music what it is. It's not just me. It's just like with the festival, it's not just me. Just like with anything, it might have my name tagged on it, but it's really about a lot of the people I have working with me that make things happen.
Exactly. It's all about collaboration. It's all about teamwork. It's all about networking. And it's, what you discuss in your book, Break When I'm Dead, which is quite educational for the next generation of music fans. But yeah, it has been a pleasure having you on the new network today, having you on the new show, Sarah's Playlist, which I dedicate to my wife. That's why I call it Sarah's Playlist, because when people come on the show, they're like, hey, you're not Sarah. And I'm like, yeah,
Ah,
yeah, I was gonna say, yeah, I'm not Sarah. That's the missus because she's passionate about music. I wanted to do something special for
of
her.
course.
But yeah, it has been a pleasure. Of course, Christopher Lawrence, aka Opus the Dopest. And he, of course, people know him from Dead by Wednesday. They know
Yep.
him from Mindsnap Music, and of course, being an author. Before we let you
Yep.
go,
And, and,
Opus,
and, and I have to add that I am the new uh touring drummer, well, maybe the drummer at this point for the Cro-Mags, the original
ooh,
Cro-Mags. Yeah.
nice.
Yeah. This year, 2024 is dedicated to the Cro-Mags. I'm going to be doing stuff in between with Earth, my Sabbath tribute band, Earth, Black Sabbath tribute band, and also Dead by Wednesday. But a lot of my touring is going to be with the Cro-Mags this year. And they're like this legendary hardcore band from New York City that they needed a drummer. I filled in for them when their drummer had a medical issue, and it went really well, and he never came back. So I am actually the new drummer. We're doing a bunch of tours overseas, festivals. It's going to be a crazy year.
Sounds like it's going to be an amazing year, definitely. Last year was great with those with the releases and the book. This
Yep,
year sounds like you're going to be doing a lot of great shows, a lot of great performing. Definitely, you'll have to keep us up to date with that. And
absolutely. If you go to most of my socials are just Opus the Dopest, all one word. Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, all that stuff. And for Dead by Wednesday, it's the same thing. Just Dead by Wednesday, all one word. For all that stuff, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, yada yada yada. Except for YouTube. YouTube is different.